The heart monitor was showing irregular patterns as I felt my chest tighten with each shallow breath. My trembling hand reached for my daughter Sarah's fingers, and through the oxygen mask, I whispered the words that would shatter everything she believed about her father. I need to tell you something that will destroy our family's reputation forever. I'm not the honorable judge you think I am. But let me tell you the truth. I've been hiding for 32 years as a federal judge in Houston, Texas. The sterile smell of Memorial Hermann Hospital fills my nostrils as I struggle with each breath through this oxygen mask. My wife Margaret is sitting in the corner chair, her eyes red from crying, clutching her rosary beads. My son Michael is pacing by the window, his expensive suit wrinkled from sleeping in this hospital chair for 3 days. And my daughter Sarah, my precious Sarah, who's named after the innocent teacher whose life I destroyed, is holding my hand with a grip that's getting weaker as my confession grows more horrific. The machines surrounding my bed are beeping irregularly, just like my heart that's been poisoned by decades of guilt. The IV dripping into my arm contains morphine for the physical pain, but there's no medicine for the agony in my soul. I can see the Houston skyline through the window, the same city where I perverted justice for money and destroyed hundreds of innocent lives in the process. Before I tell you this shocking deathbed confession, I really want to know where you're watching me from. Tell me in the comments what state you're from, and if you can, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This story needs to be heard by everyone who believes in justice, because what I'm about to reveal will shake your faith in our entire legal system. My name is Judge Harold Matthewson, and for 32 years, I sat on the federal bench for the Southern District of Texas in Houston. I was appointed by President George H.W. Bush in 1991, when I was just 36 years old. Everyone called me the youngest federal judge in Texas history, a rising star in the Republican Party, a golden boy who had everything going for him. My law degree from Harvard, my perfect conviction rate as a prosecutor, my photogenic family that graced the society pages of the Houston Chronicle. My wife Margaret was so proud when I got confirmed by the Senate. We threw a party at our mansion in River Oaks that was attended by senators, congressmen, and the cream of Houston society. My children looked up to me like I was some kind of superhero in black robes. 8-year-old Sarah would tell her friends that her daddy was a judge who put bad guys in jail and protected good people. 12-year-old Michael would wear a tiny suit to take your child to work day and sit in my chambers, dreaming of following in my footsteps. The whole community of River Oaks respected the Matthewson name. We lived in a beautiful 8,000 square foot mansion on Inwood Drive with a circular driveway, perfectly manicured gardens, and a swimming pool where we hosted charity fundraisers for underprivileged children. I drove a Mercedes S-Class that screamed success. Margaret drove a Range Rover. We sent our kids to the most exclusive private schools in Houston, St. John's School, where tuition was $30,000 a year per child. But what nobody knew was that beneath my black robes and righteous speeches about justice, I was slowly building a criminal empire that would make the mafia jealous. They saw me at charity galas, writing checks to children's hospitals. They watched me give speeches about the importance of law and order. They read my quotes in the newspaper about protecting the innocent and punishing the guilty. They had no idea I was about to become the most corrupt judge in American history. I've carried this secret for 32 years, and every single day, the faces of innocent people I sent to prison have haunted my dreams. The weight of 847 wrongful convictions sits on my chest heavier than this heart failure that's slowly killing me. Every night, I've woken up in cold sweats, hearing the screams of mothers whose innocent children I condemned, seeing the tears of wives whose husbands I sent away for crimes they didn't commit. What I'm about to confess will expose how money, power, and greed can poison an entire system that's supposed to protect the innocent. It's about how I became a monster while everyone around me thought I was a hero. The weight of this secret is literally killing me faster than the congestive heart failure. My cardiologist, Dr. Patricia Williams at the Texas Heart Institute, told me that the stress from guilt has damaged my heart beyond repair. She said she's never seen anything like it. How psychological trauma can manifest as physical deterioration. She doesn't know that every irregular heartbeat is my body's way of punishing me for the 847 innocent lives I destroyed. It all started in 1992 when I made the worst decision of my life, the decision that would damn my soul and destroy countless innocent families. But before I tell you about that first bribe, that first moment when I sold my integrity for money, I need you to understand how normal I seemed, how respected I was, how nobody suspected that the man in the black robes was capable of such evil. What I'm about to confess will shock you to your core. For 3 decades, I accepted bribes totaling over $3.2 million from prosecutors, defense attorneys, private prison corporations, and wealthy families who wanted specific verdicts. I've carried this secret for 32 years, and every single day the faces of innocent people I sent to prison have haunted my dreams. The weight of this secret is literally killing me. My doctors say the stress has eaten away at my heart, and I know I don't have much time left. District Attorney Robert Bobby Hawkins approached me after my first year on the bench. He walked into my chambers with a briefcase containing $50,000 in cash. "Judge Matthewson," he said with that shark smile of his, "I think we could have a very profitable relationship. You scratch my back, I scratch yours." At first I was outraged. I almost called security. But then Bobby laid out his proposition. "You give me convictions on the cases I need to win for my political career, and I'll make sure you never have to worry about money again. Your kids can go to Harvard. Your wife can have that vacation home in the Hamptons. All you have to do is interpret the law creatively." The devil's bargain was so tempting. Margaret had been pressuring me about our financial situation. Federal judges don't make the kind of money that private lawyers do, and maintaining our lifestyle in River Oaks was bleeding us dry. My son wanted to go to Yale, my daughter needed orthodontics, and the mortgage on our mansion was crushing us. I told myself it would just be once. One case, one bribe, but that's how evil works. It starts with one compromise, and before you know it, you're drowning in corruption. The first case was a drug trafficking charge against Marcus Williams, a 19-year-old kid from the 3rd Ward who swore he was innocent. The evidence was circumstantial at best, but Bobby needed a conviction to boost his tough-on-crime statistics for his upcoming re-election campaign. He wanted me to deny the defense's motion to suppress evidence that had been obtained through an illegal search. I remember looking at that kid's face when I denied the motion. Marcus Williams had tears in his eyes as he whispered, "But Judge, I didn't do nothing wrong." His mother was sobbing in the gallery. His little sister was holding on to their grandmother's hand, not understanding why her big brother was going away. But I denied the motion anyway. Marcus got 15 years in federal prison for a crime he didn't commit. That night, I went home to my mansion, kissed my wife goodnight, and tried to convince myself that one innocent kid was worth my family's financial security. I was wrong. The guilt consumed me completely, but the money was intoxicating. $50,000 for one case became $100,000 for bigger cases. Bobby introduced me to other prosecutors who needed favorable rulings. Defense attorneys started offering bribes for lenient sentences for their wealthy clients. Private prison corporations paid me to ensure high conviction rates that would keep their facilities profitable. By 1995, I was making more money from bribes than from my federal salary. We bought the vacation home in the Hamptons. My kids went to the best schools. Margaret got her Range Rover. I convinced myself that I was just providing for my family, that any father would do the same thing. But every single case haunted me. There was Jennifer Patterson, a single mother accused of embezzling from her employer. The evidence showed her boss had framed her to cover his own theft. But the company offered me $200,000 to find her guilty. Jennifer got 8 years in federal prison. Her 2 young children went into foster care. Her life was destroyed because I needed money for my son's college tuition. There was David Chen, an immigrant accused of insurance fraud. The prosecution's case was full of holes, but the insurance company paid me $300,000 to ensure a conviction. David got 12 years. His elderly parents lost their small restaurant while he was in prison. His American dream died because of my greed. The worst case was the Peterson family. James Peterson was accused of running a Ponzi scheme, but the real mastermind was his business partner, who had political connections and deep pockets. The partner's attorney gave me $500,000 to make sure James took the fall. James got 25 years in federal prison. His wife, Linda, committed suicide 6 months later. Their twin daughters, Emma and Grace, were only 14 when they became orphans because of my decision. Every night, I would lie in my king-size bed in our mansion, staring at the ceiling, listening to Margaret's peaceful breathing, and feeling the weight of all those innocent lives I had destroyed. I started taking sleeping pills, then drinking heavily. I developed panic attacks during court proceedings. My hair turned gray seemingly overnight. The money kept coming, and I kept taking it. By 2010, I had accepted bribes in 847 cases. 847 times I perverted justice for money. 847 families destroyed because I was too greedy and too cowardly to do what was right. The private prison corporations were the worst. They needed high conviction rates to justify their government contracts and keep their stockholders happy. They paid me retainer fees of $50,000 a month just to ensure harsh sentences. I sent kids to adult prisons. I denied early release for reformed inmates. I ignored evidence of prosecutorial misconduct, all because those corporations were paying for my lifestyle. If this confession is shocking you, Hit that subscribe button because what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything about our justice system. In 2018, everything started falling apart. The FBI launched a massive investigation into judicial corruption in the Southern District of Texas. 3 judges had already been arrested. I knew they were getting close to me. I could feel the walls closing in. I started having chest pains from the stress. Margaret noticed I was losing weight and having nightmares. My children wondered why I seemed so distant and paranoid. But I couldn't tell them the truth. How do you tell your family that your entire career has been built on corruption? How do you explain that their college educations, their comfortable lifestyle, their respect in the community, all of it was paid for with blood money? The breaking point came when I received a case involving a young teacher named Sarah Mitchell. Ironically, she had the same name as my daughter. Sarah was accused of sexually abusing a student, but I knew the evidence was fabricated. The real abuser was the son of a wealthy political donor who needed a scapegoat. The family offered me $1 million to convict Sarah. As I looked at this innocent teacher sitting in my courtroom, I saw my own daughter's face. Sarah Mitchell was the same age as my Sarah, had the same dreams, the same hopes for the future. And I was about to destroy her life for money, just like I had destroyed 846 other innocent people. But I couldn't stop. The corruption had become like a cancer, eating away at my soul. I took the money and convicted Sarah Mitchell. She got 15 years in federal prison for a crime she didn't commit. Her teaching career was over. Her reputation was destroyed. Her family disowned her, all because I was too weak to finally do the right thing. That night, I had my first heart attack. As the paramedics loaded me into the ambulance, I thought God was finally punishing me for my sins. But I survived, and instead of changing my ways, I just became more careful about hiding my crimes. The FBI investigation continued, but they never found evidence against me. I had been too careful, too paranoid. All my bribes were paid in cash. All my communications were face-to-face. I had learned from the mistakes of the other corrupt judges. By 2020, the investigation was closed, and I was in the clear. But the guilt was eating me alive. Every morning when I put on those judicial robes, I felt like I was wearing a costume in some sick theater performance. Every time someone called me Your Honor, I wanted to scream that there was no honor left in me. Every time I saw a news story about wrongful convictions, I wondered how many innocent people I had helped put behind bars. I started visiting the graves of the people whose lives I had destroyed. Linda Peterson's grave became a regular stop for me. I would stand there, looking at the headstone of the woman who killed herself because I sent her innocent husband to prison, and I would whisper apologies that she would never hear. I tried to convince myself that I could make amends somehow. I started ruling in favor of defendants in cases where I wasn't being bribed. I donated anonymously to legal aid organizations. I volunteered at homeless shelters, thinking that helping strangers might balance out the lives I had ruined. But it wasn't enough. Nothing could balance the scales of justice that I had spent 3 decades tilting toward whoever paid me the most money. In 2022, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. The doctors said the stress had damaged my heart beyond repair. They gave me 2 years to live, maybe 3 if I was lucky. Margaret cried when we got the diagnosis. My children rallied around me, planning family trips and making sure I was comfortable. But how could I be comfortable knowing that hundreds of wrongfully convicted people were rotting in prison because of my greed? How could I enjoy my final years with my family knowing that I had destroyed so many other families? The worst part was the respect I continued to receive. When I announced my retirement due to health reasons, the Houston Chronicle ran a front-page story calling me a pillar of integrity and one of the finest judges in Texas history. The Texas Bar Association gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award. My colleagues threw me a retirement party where speaker after speaker praised my unwavering commitment to justice. I wanted to stand up at that party and tell them the truth. I wanted to confess everything and beg for forgiveness, but I was still a coward. I accepted their praise with a smile while dying inside, knowing that every word of it was based on a lie. Now as I lie here in this hospital bed at Memorial Hermann, listening to the rhythmic beeping of machines keeping me alive, I can't take the lies anymore. The weight of 847 innocent lives is crushing my chest worse than the heart failure. I can feel death approaching, and I know that if I don't confess now, I'll carry these secrets to hell with me. Share this story if it moved you, because the truth needs to be told about how our justice system can be corrupted by greed and power. My daughter Sarah is holding my hand as I speak these words. My son Michael is pacing by the window, unable to look at me. Margaret left the room 20 minutes ago, sobbing. They know now. They finally know what kind of man their father and husband really was. Sarah keeps asking me, "Dad, how could you do this? How could you destroy so many innocent lives?" And I don't have a good answer for her. I was weak. I was greedy. I was selfish. I put my family's comfort above justice and righteousness. But what haunts me most isn't the money I took or the lifestyle I bought with blood money. What haunts me is the faces of the innocent people I condemned. Marcus Williams, who spent 15 years in prison for a drug crime he didn't commit. Jennifer Patterson's, whose children grew up without their mother because I needed money for my son's education. David Chen, whose American dream died in a federal penitentiary because I was too greedy to do what was right. And Sarah Mitchell, the teacher whose life I destroyed because I saw my own daughter's face in hers, but chose money over mercy anyway. She's still in prison, still paying for a crime she didn't commit, still suffering because Harold Matthewson was more interested in his bank account than in justice. The FBI needs to reopen every case I presided over. Every conviction needs to be reviewed. Every innocent person I sent to prison deserves their freedom and compensation for the years I stole from them. My estate, built on corruption and suffering, should be liquidated to help the families I destroyed. I'm telling you this story not for forgiveness. I don't deserve forgiveness. I'm telling you this story because the truth needs to be told. Because there might be other corrupt judges out there, and the American people need to know that justice can be bought if the price is right. As my heart continues to fail and my breathing becomes more labored, I want you to remember the names I've mentioned: Marcus Williams, Jennifer Patterson, David Chen, James Peterson, Sarah Mitchell, and the 842 other innocent people whose names I can't remember, but whose faces will follow me into whatever judgment awaits me. The machines are beeping slower now, My family has gathered around my bed, but I can see the disgust and disappointment in their eyes. My grandson asked his mother why Grandpa sent good people to jail, and Sarah couldn't answer him. This is my last confession, my final attempt to do something right after a lifetime of doing everything wrong. I hope that somewhere Marcus Williams is finally free. I hope Jennifer Patterson's children have forgiven her for a crime she didn't commit. I hope David Chen found peace despite the years I stole from him. But most of all, I hope that when the truth comes out about my corruption, the real criminals who bribed me will finally face justice. District Attorney Bobby Hawkins, who started me on this path of destruction. The private prison executives who paid me to keep their facilities full. The wealthy families who bought their children's freedom while innocent people paid the price. They all deserve to pay for their crimes, just like I should have paid for mine 30 years ago. The medical machines are showing flat lines now, but my conscience is finally clear. I've told the truth. I've confessed my sins. I've admitted to being the most corrupt federal judge in American history. And now, as I take my final breaths, I pray that God has more mercy on my soul than I showed to all those wrongfully convicted people I condemned.